At 3 a.m. every night while Nashville sleeps, a 78-year-old legend sits alone in her bedroom with nothing but a notepad and the silence of the Tennessee mountains. What she's been doing in these secret hours for over 5 decades has created some of the most iconic songs in music history. But the truth about how she does it will completely change everything you thought you knew about creative genius. Dolly Parton isn't just writing songs in the middle of the night. She's tapping into something far more mysterious and powerful than most artists ever discover. Dolly Rebecca Parton was born in 1946 in a one-room cabin in the Great Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, the fourth of 12 children in a family so poor they paid the doctor who delivered her with a bag of cornmeal. Her father, Robert Lee Parton, was a tobacco farmer and construction worker who couldn't read or write. Her mother, Avie Lee, was a preacher's daughter who filled their tiny home with mountain ballads and gospel hymns. By age 6, Dolly was already performing publicly, singing on local radio and television programs in Knoxville. At 10, she was appearing on The Cass Walker Show, earning $10 a week, money her family desperately needed. But it was during these formative years that Dolly discovered something that would define her entire career: the power of writing in solitude during the pre-dawn hours. "I was always different from other kids," Dolly revealed in a 2019 interview with Rolling Stone. "While they were sleeping, I felt most alive. Something about those quiet hours before sunrise just spoke to my soul." Her uncle Bill Owens, a struggling songwriter himself, recognized Dolly's unique talent and became her first mentor. He bought her first real guitar when she was 8 years old and taught her basic chord progressions. But what he discovered about her writing process was extraordinary. Even as a child, Dolly would wake up naturally around 3 a.m. and write songs until dawn. The moment that changed everything came in 1964 when 18-year-old Dolly graduated high school and took a Greyhound bus to Nashville the very next day. She had saved enough money for one-way fare and arrived at the bus station with nothing but a cardboard suitcase, her guitar, and a notebook filled with songs she'd written during those solitary pre-dawn hours in the mountains. Her early years in Nashville were brutal. She survived on ketchup soup and crackers, sleeping on friends' couches and performing wherever anyone would listen. Record labels rejected her repeatedly, claiming her voice was too distinctive and her mountain accent too pronounced for mainstream country music. But Dolly never stopped writing, and she never changed her 3 a.m. routine. The breakthrough came in 1967 when she partnered with Porter Wagoner on his popular television show. Their professional relationship was complicated and often contentious, but it gave Dolly the platform she needed. During this period, she wrote some of her most enduring classics, including Coat of Many Colors and My Tennessee Mountain Home, all during those mysterious pre-dawn writing sessions that had become as essential to her as breathing. The pivotal moment in Dolly's career happened on a sleepless night in 1973. She had been struggling with her decision to leave Porter Wagoner's show and pursue a solo career, a move that could destroy everything she'd worked for. The country music establishment was skeptical that a woman could succeed independently, and the financial risks were enormous. That night, Dolly found herself awake at her usual 3 a.m. hour, but instead of reaching for her guitar, she felt overwhelmed by doubt and fear. She later described this as the darkest moment of her professional life. But as she sat in her bedroom, staring out at the Nashville skyline, something extraordinary happened. "I heard this melody in my head, clear as day," Dolly recounted in her autobiography. "It wasn't coming from anywhere I could identify. Not the radio, not from outside. It was like the song was already complete, just waiting for me to write it down." That song was Jolene, which would become one of the most recognizable songs in music history. But the story behind its creation reveals something far more mysterious about Dolly's 3 a.m. writing process. The inspiration came from a young bank teller with striking red hair who had been flirting with Dolly's husband, Carl Dean. But Dolly transformed this personal moment of jealousy into something universal during those pre-dawn hours when her creative mind was most receptive. Within 6 months of writing Jolene, Dolly had recorded it, and by 1974, it had reached #1 on the country charts and crossed over to mainstream success. The song's impact was immediate and profound. It demonstrated that Dolly could write hits that transcended genre boundaries and spoke to human experiences everyone could understand. What Dolly discovered intuitively, neuroscientists have since proven through extensive research. The hours between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. represent what researchers call the creative sweet spot, when the brain's default mode network is most active and the logical critical thinking centers are at their quietest. Dr. Nancy Andreasen, a psychiatrist who has studied creativity for over 3 decades, explains that the pre-dawn hours offer optimal conditions for what she terms combinatorial creativity, the brain's ability to make unexpected connections between seemingly unrelated concepts. This explains why so many of Dolly's songs contain the sophisticated wordplay and emotional complexity that have made them endure for decades. Dolly's routine has remained remarkably consistent throughout her career. She keeps notebooks and pens beside her bed, along with a small tape recorder for capturing melodies. When she wakes at 3 a.m., which she claims happens naturally without an alarm, she immediately begins writing, often producing complete songs before most people have their first cup of coffee. "People think I'm crazy when I tell them I've written over 3,000 songs," Dolly said in a 2020 interview with The Guardian. But when you write almost every day for over 50 years, starting at 3 a.m. when your mind is completely clear, the numbers add up fast. This prolific output has made her one of the wealthiest entertainers in history. Her publishing catalog alone is worth an estimated $150 million, and she earns millions annually from royalties on songs she wrote during those solitary pre-dawn sessions decades ago. The dedication to her 3 a.m. writing ritual has come with significant personal sacrifices that Dolly rarely discusses publicly. Her husband, Carl Dean, whom she married in 1966, has had to adapt his entire life around her unconventional schedule. Friends describe a marriage where Dolly essentially lives on a different timeline from the rest of the world. Her goddaughter, Miley Cyrus, revealed in a 2019 interview that visiting Aunt Dolly's house as a child meant following her unique schedule. She'd be wide awake and writing songs at 3 in the morning, but by 8 p.m. she was ready for bed. "It was like living with a creative vampire," Cyrus joked, though she acknowledged the profound influence this discipline had on her own artistic development. At 78, Dolly Parton shows no intention of changing the 3 a.m. ritual that has defined her career. While other artists rely on teams of professional songwriters and producers, she continues to trust the mysterious creative process that emerges when the world is sleeping and her mountain girl spirit is most awake. Her 3 a.m. writing habit isn't just a quirky personal routine. It's a masterclass in accessing the deepest levels of human creativity, proving that sometimes the most profound art emerges not in collaboration or performance, but in the sacred solitude of the pre-dawn hours. Thanks for watching. Click here to check another video and make sure to subscribe to our channel.